I love Claude Code. It's amazing. But I hate being locked into Anthropic models. What if I want to use GPT-5 or Llama or whichever comes out next week? So I went on a quest to find a good terminal-based coding agent that actually works with different models. The perfect test case? GPT-5. Everyone's hyping it as the best coding model ever created. If a terminal agent claims to be model agnostic, it should work brilliantly with GPT-5, right? So I tested every terminal-based agent I could find. Codex from OpenAI themselves, Charm Crush, OpenCode, and Cursor CLI. What I discovered might surprise you. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what's wrong with today's terminal agents, why model flexibility is harder than it seems, and whether any of these tools can actually compete with Claude Code. Let's find out. Now, nearly every job today demands AI skills, and that's where Outskill, the sponsor of this video, can help. This weekend, you can join the 2-day AI Mastermind workshop by Outskill, the world's first AI-focused education platform. By just attending 16 hours with the expert mentors, learners from Outskill have built and shipped over 100 AI products, all with zero code and working revenue models of $3 to $4K. Now, this training normally costs $895, but they're giving away 1,000 free seats to my viewers just for the next 72 hours. Now, what makes this different? Well, it's just a 16 hours short commitment, which is best suited for someone with a busy professional schedule. You also get free lifetime access to Outskill's exclusive paid AI community to grow alongside more than 5,000 AI first professionals. Finally, their AI learning dashboard is super seamless to navigate, which enhances your overall learning experience. Over 10 million people have attended this training in the past year across different industries, and now it's your turn. So, thank you Outskill for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the main subject.
End of the day, we're mostly just chatting here. Nothing fancy needed.
Claude Code has become the go-to agent for coding and operations. Once you experience working with a well-designed terminal-based agent, going back to IDE-based agents feels like a step backwards. The terminal is a more natural environment for AI interactions. We are mostly chatting with the AI, reviewing its suggestions, and accepting or rejecting changes. Since most of what coding agents do involves executing shell commands anyway, the terminal is where those agents naturally belong. Now, I know that many of you are screaming at your monitors right now, like, why don't you just use Cursor or another IDE-based agent? Look, those might work for you, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But they don't work for me anymore. I used to be a Cursor fanboy. I really was. Then I was forced to spend some time with Claude Code, and now I'm not going back. The terminal-based approach feels better, more streamlined. So today we are focusing exclusively on terminal-based agents. But here's the thing. My preference for terminal agents isn't even the main motivation for this video. The real reason we are here is that I want to test GPT-5. Everyone's talking about it, claiming it's the best coding model ever released. But here's my problem. Claude Code only supports Anthropic models. That's it. No GPT-5, no other alternatives. Now, technically, I could use Cursor or Klein or other IDE-based agents to test GPT-5, but I don't want to go back to IDEs. So, the quest becomes find a terminal-based agent that supports GPT-5 and doesn't suck when compared to Claude Code. How hard can it be? Now, let me be clear about what I need from those agents. First, they must be intuitive. If I need a manual to chat with an AI, something is wrong. Second, they absolutely must support MCP servers and saved prompts. Those aren't nice to haves, they're table stakes. Any other features are bonuses, but those two are non-negotiable. Third, they need to actually work for both coding and operations. Here's how I will test each agent. Can I set up, view, and execute MCP servers and saved prompts? That's test number 1. Does it work well for actual coding? Test number 2. Does it handle operations tasks without falling on its face? Test number 3. And finally, Is there anything special that makes any of them stand out from the crowd? That's all there is to it. Now let's set realistic expectations here. Claude Code is so damn good that I'd be happy if any of those other agents even reaches that level. They don't need to be better, they just need to not suck. If I can find something that works as well as Claude Code but supports GPT-5, mission accomplished. Hell, I don't even need them to reach that level. I'll be even more forgiving. I only expect at least one of them to work. How about that? Just one agent that doesn't completely fall apart. That's the bar. It's a very low one. Now, I'll test all of those agents with GPT-5 because every influencer and their mother is claiming it's the best coding model ever created. Look, I know influencers are usually full of shit. They'll hype anything for clicks. But maybe, just maybe, they're right this time. Let's find out. Now, to be clear, here's the crucial point. Models alone are not enough. You can have the best model in the world, but if the agent wrapped around it is crap, the whole thing is useless. What we need is the right combination, a great model paired with a great agent. That's what makes Claude Code so damn good. It's not just Claude Sonnet or Opus, it's the entire package. So who are the competitors in this terminal-based agent showdown? We've got Codex from OpenAI themselves, Charm Crush, OpenCode, and Cursor CLI. These are the agents that claim to work in the terminal and support multiple models, including GPT-5. Now, let's see if any of them can actually deliver.
If Nespresso's own pods won't work in their machine, nothing will.
Let's start with Codex CLI. This is OpenAI's answer to Claude Code. And here's the thing, GPT-5 is marketed with coding as one of its strongest capabilities. OpenAI keeps telling us it's the best coding model ever created, so you would naturally assume that OpenAI made damn sure their own terminal agent, Codex CLI, works perfectly with GPT-5. If there is any agent that should showcase GPT-5's coding prowess, it's this one. If Codex CLI doesn't work well with GPT-5, then nothing will, right? Okay, so let's fire it up and see what we're working with. All right, standard permission prompt. I'll go with option 2 since I want to see what it's doing. Now, let's check what commands are available. Wait a minute, wait, stop. Look at those commands. There is no mention of MCP servers anywhere, and that's strange. MCP support is table stakes for any serious coding agent. Let me ask about it directly. Oh! It's searching the project repository for MCP configuration. It completely misunderstood my question. I'm not asking about MCP servers in this project. I'm asking about MCP support in Codex CLI itself. This is not a good start. Not at all. Seriously, it's still searching the local repository. I explicitly asked for Codex CLI docs, and it's still looking in the wrong place. This is getting annoying. The phrase Codex CLI docs should be enough for a clue that it needs to check online documentation, not these project files, right? No, this is beyond annoying now. It's just stupid. I literally asked it to check the web, and it's still searching the local repository. How much clearer do I need to be? The information is on the web, not in this project. Come on. But here's the real problem. Codex isn't even aware of itself. It doesn't know it's Codex CLI, and worse, it provides no clue that network access is disabled by default. No clue. Apparently, you need to be clairvoyant to figure this out or read the documentation. The fact that you have to read the docs just to enable basic functionality shows how unintuitive Codex CLI really is. Why would anyone disable network access for a supervised coding agent? I can't think of a single good reason that doesn't sound completely and utterly idiotic. Okay, fine. Let me exit and manually enable network access because apparently that's something you have to do yourself without being informed about it. Okay, so we're back. Let's try this again now that network access is enabled. Now, reading that thinking output is actually very entertaining. Look at this. The guidelines suggest I shouldn't guess, so it's good to ask for clarification or provide options. Bravo! Amazing! Exactly right. Do not guess. Just find the bloody information. And then it continues with, the user's question is about setting up MCP servers in the Codex CLI. And yes, look at it, million times yes, that's exactly what I'm asking about. But then it completely ruins everything by guessing and saying, which probably involves commands like codex mcp add or codex settings. And that's over there where it goes off the rails. It starts guessing, making up commands that don't exist, and searching the wrong places. At this rate, it will try every possible permutation except the obvious one, to check the actual Codex CLI documentation online or help. Look at it. It's still searching the local repository. Even with network access enabled, it refuses to look online for documentation. This is painful to watch. Look at it thinking output. It actually says it should ask for approval to access the network. Yes, exactly. Ask for approval. Do it now. But no, it doesn't. It's like a kid in a toy store with ADHD. It just jumps to something else entirely. Now checking if Codex is installed locally. Now, I know for a fact that GPT-5 isn't this stupid. The model can understand basic instructions. This is all on Codex CLI being a terrible agent. But let me give it one last chance. That's it, I give up. This is stupid. No, wait, that's not right. It's beyond stupid. Even after I literally gave it the GitHub URL, it's still running local commands, trying to figure out MCP configuration. I cannot imagine anyone willingly using Codex CLI. This is supposed to be OpenAI's flagship terminal agent for their best coding model, and it can't even follow basic instructions to check online documentation.
If they couldn't fix it, I surely can.
Right.
Okay, next up is Charm Crush. This comes from Charm, the company that's nerd famous for making beautiful terminal UI libraries like bubble tea and lip gloss. They know terminals inside out. Plus, they actually hired Kuitim Hoksha, I think, the original creator of OpenCode, and they hired him to build this. So we've got terminal expertise in someone who's already built a coding agent. If OpenAI folks couldn't make it work, those guys over there, they surely can, right? Right away we see something different. Crush asks if you want to initialize the project, explaining that it will examine the codebase and create CrushMD file for general context. Good start. At least this one knows about persistent project context. Unlike Codex, it's creating a file with project information that will be loaded at the start of each session. This is table stakes, basic functionality that any coding agent should have. But after Codex, even meeting the bare minimum feels refreshing, honestly. But then we hit the first major UX problem. Look at this permission pop-up. This is terrible design choice. Yes, the pop-up looks pretty with its purple accent and clean layout. And yes, it shows me the code changes it wants to make. But see what's happening? Do you see it? The pop-up is covering the conversation that led to those changes. I can see what it wants to write to CrushMD, but I can't see why it wants to write it. The context that would help me decide whether to approve or deny is hidden behind the very dialogue asking for that approval. That's just bad UX. Really. Bad UX. Terrible. Now, I get it. Charm is famous for making beautiful terminal UI libraries. They wanted to show off their skills. But they prioritize looking good over being usable. Form or function. It's a classic mistake. And while we are talking about this pop-up, notice the options. Allow, allow for session, and deny. Where's the option to permanently allow specific operations? I should be able to say always allow the write tool, or always allow ls commands, or always allow queue-control-get. Every time the agent wants to use the same harmless tool, I have to go through this dance again. Okay, let's check what commands are actually available. Look at that command list. New session, switch model, summary session, open file picker, toggle YOLO mode, toggle help, initialize project, and quit. Notice what's missing? There's no command for MCP servers. No way to check MCP status, configure servers, and see what tools are available. And that's disappointing. It means I will have to ask Crush directly about MCP setup, and after the Codex experience, I really don't want to go through that again. But let's try it anyway. Wrong answer. It's talking about this specific project, not Crush itself. Let me point it to the actual docs. Okay, better. At least it read the docs and found that Crush uses crush.json for configuration. That already puts Codex to shame. Let me get it to actually set this up. Okay, this is good. It actually understood the task and converted the .mcp.json to crush.json. Let's restart Crush and see if the MCP server works. Look at that! The MCP section shows .ai docker 8 tools with the green indicator. It's actually working. After the Codex disaster, this feels like a win. The MCP server is connected and showing 8 available tools. We are making progress. Amazing. Okay, I spoke too soon. The MCP server shows as connected, but it's throwing a broken pipe error when trying to use it. This is disappointing. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and blame the MCP configuration rather than Crush itself. At least it tried to connect and execute a tool. That's more than Codex managed. Now, let's check the other critical feature, saved prompts. Okay, it's searching the project again. Let me redirect it. I'll give Crush credit here. It searched, it really searched. It found GitHub issue and even offered workarounds. It tried its best to help with a feature that doesn't exist. That's more than I can say for Codex, which couldn't even search properly. At least Crush can fetch information from the web. It understood MCP servers exist and partially got them working. That's 2 out of my 4 requirements. But without proper saved prompt support, I can't work effectively. Those aren't nice to haves. They're table stakes for any serious coding agent. That's what it is. Now, to be clear, I'm not asking for much here. I just need a coding agent that meets the bare minimum. MCP servers, saved prompts, code editing, and operations. That's basic functionality. Is that really too much to ask?
It might not be beautiful, but maybe it actually works.
Okay, it's time for OpenCode. Remember the drama between OpenCode and Crush? They're basically the same project that's split into 2. This is the version that stayed under the SST organization. It might not be as beautiful as Crush, but maybe, just maybe, it actually works. So let's start it up. And let's skip the UI tour and go straight to the important question. Once again, wrong answer is telling me to use .mcp.json in the project root. If that was correct, the MCP would already be connected since that file exists in this project. The agent is just guessing instead of checking the actual OpenCode documentation. Look at those failed attempts. It's trying random URLs like OpenCode.sh, OpenCode dev, github.com/OpenCode-dev, all 404s. Here's the problem. GPT's training was cut off in September 2024, almost a year ago. OpenCode probably didn't even exist back then. But instead of doing a proper web search to find the actual URL, the agent is just guessing domain names. Come on, at least try to search properly. Let me help it out. Finally, it found the docs and discovered that OpenCode uses OpenCode.json, not .mcp.json. Different config file, different format. At least now we know the right approach, at least. Okay, good. It converted the configuration. Let's restart OpenCode and see if it works. And now comes the critical question. How do I know if MCP server is actually working? Remember Crush, at least, showed MCP status in its UI. Let's see what OpenCode offers. Wait, /status? Really? There is no /command interface in OpenCode. And OpenCode status? That command doesn't exist either. The agent is just making stuff up now. Or maybe it's GPT-5, who knows? And now it is suggesting to pipe commands through RG to search for MCP mentions. That's not a status check, that's debugging. Let me ask the actual documentation, at least. And there's the answer. No built-in MCP status command. The agent checked all the docs and couldn't find one. The best you can do is look at config files and dig through log files hoping to find MCP-related messages. So here's the situation. The MCP server might be working, or it might not. Maybe it's configured correctly. Maybe it isn't. There's literally no way to tell without digging through logs. That makes it completely useless to me. If I can't even verify that a critical feature is working, how can I trust the tool? Moving on.
If anyone can match the professor, it should be their best student.
Last up is Cursor CLI. This comes from the makers of Cursor IDE, one of the best and most widely used IDE-based coding agents. Those folks know how to build coding agents. They've proven it with their IDE. So their terminal-based agent should excel where everyone else failed, right? If anyone can match Claude Code, it should be them. It must be them. Let me first fire it up and see what we're dealing with here. Look at those commands. Edit, cursor, new, and more. But wait, there's no MCP management command. No way to check MCP status or configure servers. Still, maybe, just maybe, it's built in and works automatically, who knows. Let me ask directly. The agent starts searching my project repo. Okay, but that's not what I asked about. I want to know how to set up MCP servers in Cursor CLI itself, not in my project. It's still searching my repo. I need to be more explicit. Finally, praise the Lord, it fetched the documentation and provided clear instructions. Like Crush and OpenCode, it eventually figured out where to look. The response is detailed with proper examples. Now, let's see if it can actually make it work. Okay, good. Like Crush and OpenCode, it successfully converted the configuration. The agent created .cursor/mcp.json with the right format, but the real test is whether the MCP connection actually works. Now I need to restart the CLI for the MCP configuration to take effect. While I'm at it, let me also copy the saved prompts to cursor/rules, assuming Cursor CLI works the same way as Cursor IDE, which seems to be the case given that it uses the same MCP configuration approach. Okay, wait, what the heck is that? Sorry, I have to open Cursor IDE to enable the MCP server? That's ridiculous. The whole point of a terminal-based agent is to work in the terminal, not to require the IDE. If I wanted to use the IDE, I would just use the IDE. This is already a bad sign. But let's see if it at least works now that I've enabled it through the IDE. Let's see. Hey, oh, there we go. It works. The MCP server is connected and running. The agent successfully called .ai status and got the full status report. This is the first agent where I can actually verify that MCP works properly. Crush showed it as connected but through errors. OpenCode had no way to even check. But here, despite the annoying requirement to enable it through the IDE, the MCP actually functions. Finally. Now, let's check the other critical feature. Do saved prompts or cursor rules in this case work? Well, that's disappointing again, but I'm so far used to disappointment. Everything was a disappointment, so this is a disappointment as well. There is no saved prompt support. Cursor rules only work inside the IDE, not in the CLI. So, here's the verdict on Cursor CLI. MCP servers work once you enable them through the IDE, which is annoying, but saved prompts don't. That's 1 out of 2 critical features. It's the best result so far, but still not good enough. If the makers of one of the best IDE-based agents cannot get their terminal version right, what hope is there? Hope is lost. Well, okay, you know what? I'm done. I'm giving up on testing GPT-5. None of those terminal-based agents are truly useful. They all fail at basic functionality that should be table stakes. I can't even get to the point of testing actual coding with GPT-5 because the agents wrapped around it are so broken. Completely broken.
Everything here is either raw, burnt, or both.
Now, before I continue ranting, let me be clear. Everything I just showed you is based on the state of those agents in August 2025. AI moves fast, really fast. By the time you watch this video, everything could be different. Maybe Codex works perfectly now. Maybe Crush has flawless MCP support. Maybe OpenCode has a beautiful status dashboard. I would love that. I would genuinely love to be proven wrong. Nothing would make me happier than having multiple great terminal-based agents to choose from. But as of right now, August 2025, this is what we got. Look, I'll be honest. Maybe I'm the idiot here. Maybe there's some magical way to configure MCP servers in those agents that I completely missed. Maybe saved prompts work perfectly and I just couldn't figure it out. If that's the case, I don't care. I'm blaming the UX. If a tool requires a PhD in archaeology to uncover its basic features, it's not me who failed. It's the tool. So, what did we learn about each of those agents? Codex CLI from OpenAI, complete disaster. It couldn't even fetch documentation when explicitly asked. Network access disabled by default without telling you? No awareness of itself? No MCP support I could find? It's embarrassing that this comes from the company that makes GPT-5. Charm Crush? Pretty terminal UI? Sure. Charm knows how to make things look good. But that pop-up covering the conversation context? Amateur hour. MCP servers show disconnected but through broken pipe errors when actually used. No saved prompt support. Style over substance? Nah. It might not be as pretty as Crush, but who cares about beauty when nothing works? Successfully created the config file, but no way to verify if MCP actually works? No status command, no UI indicators, nothing. It's like flying blind. How am I supposed to trust a tool when I can't even verify its most critical features are working? Cursor CLI, the winner by default. MCP servers actually work, but only after you enable them through the IDE. If I wanted to use the IDE, I would use the damn IDE. No saved prompt support either. Now, to be fair, Cursor CLI is the newest of all those agents. It's normal for new projects to be rough around edges. But we're not talking about advanced features. We're talking about table stakes. And this comes from the team that's probably further along with coding agents than anyone else. They know what good looks like. They built it in their IDE. So why is their terminal version so half-baked? No idea. And here's the kicker. I didn't even get to properly test those agents with actual coding and operation tasks. That was supposed to be the real test. Can they write code? Can they manage infrastructure? Can they debug issues? But I never got there because they all failed at the basics. Well, that's not entirely true. I did try coding with them off the camera because I'm masochist. And spoiler alert, it wasn't pretty. Not at all. But any normal person would have given up the moment they realized MCP servers and saved prompts don't work properly. Why would you trust an agent with your code when it can't even handle basic configuration? And this makes me wonder, do people building those agents actually use them? I mean, really use them day to day for actual work? Because it doesn't feel like it. If they did, they would have noticed those glaring omissions. Basic features would work. The UX wouldn't be this painful. Or maybe they do use them, but they've never tried Claude Code. Maybe they generally do not know what good looks like. There's the charitable interpretation. The best one I could come up with. Here's my theory. Anthropic caught everyone with their pants down. When coding agents started appearing, everyone naturally put them in IDEs. That's where developers work, right? It seemed obvious. IDE-based agents were the only game in town. Then Claude Code dropped, and suddenly everyone realized that terminals might actually be the better environment for AI agents. Now they're all scrambling, going through the 7 stages of grief. First come shock and denial. Terminal agents? Alright, that cannot be the future. Then pain and guilt. Oh shit! We've been building the wrong thing. Then anger and bargaining. Oh, okay, let's quickly throw together a terminal version. Huh? And then depression when they realize it's harder than it looks. So, are we in the upward turn now, with teams actually trying to build proper terminal agents? Or, for all I know, are we still stuck in denial, pretending those half-baked attempts are good enough? The frustrating part? Well, Claude Code isn't some technological marvel that took years of R&D to build. It's not doing anything revolutionary. It's just a well-designed terminal interface that properly integrates with AI models. It supports MCP servers, handles saved prompts, and doesn't get in your way. That's it. There is no secret sauce here. Any competent team should be able to match it. Yet, here we are. So, let me be clear about what I want. I desperately want a good terminal-based agent that isn't Claude Code. I really do. I would love to have options. I would love to use GPT-5 or Llama or Gemini or whichever new model comes out next week. Competition is good. Choice is good. Being locked into one vendor is never ideal. But here's what everyone needs to understand. It's not just about the model. You can have the best model in the world, but if the agent wrapped around it is garbage, the whole thing is useless. Anthropic gets this. They don't just have great models like Sonnet and Opus, they have Claude Code which actually works. MCP servers work, saved prompts work, sub-agents work, everything just works. Is it perfect because of the models or because of the agent? I don't know, and I don't care. The complete package is what really matters. When GPT-5 was released, OpenAI claimed it was the best coding model ever created. Every influencer parroted that line. GPT-5 is amazing for coding, they said. First of all, I'm not convinced that's true. It's not true. But even if it is, so what? The model is just one piece of the puzzle. OpenAI needs to understand this if they want to convert people like me. I'm an Anthropic fanboy now. Not by choice, but by necessity. They're the only ones offering a complete working solution. That's why Codex CLI's failure hurts the most. This is OpenAI's own agent. If anyone should showcase GPT-5's capabilities, it should be them. This was their chance to prove that GPT-5 plus a good agent equals coding nirvana. Instead, they delivered a broken mess that can't even fetch its own documentation. How am I supposed to believe GPT-5 is amazing when OpenAI's own tools cannot demonstrate it? Now, some of you might be thinking, who cares about MCP servers and saved prompts? Just show me if it can write code. Wrong. Dead wrong. Those aren't nice to have features. They're fundamental. MCP servers give agents access to your tools and services. Saved prompts let you work efficiently without repeating yourself constantly. Without those, you're working with one hand tied behind your back. Like this. Anyone who seriously uses coding agent knows this. But fine, let's pretend for a second that those features don't matter. Let's say all that matters is raw coding ability. Well, I tested that too, off the camera, because I hate myself, apparently. So, guess what? They suck at that too. The code they generate is mediocre. The debugging is painful. The operation tasks are a nightmare. Nothing works as smoothly as Claude Code. Nothing. So here's the bottom line. If you want a terminal-based coding agent, your only real option is Claude Code. Period. Everything else is broken, half-baked, or both. That's not an option. That's a fact based on testing. I desperately hope this changes. I want competition. I want alternatives. But I want them to actually work, not just pretend to work. So, did I miss some terminal-based coding agents? Probably. There might be some hidden gem out there that actually works. If you know of one, please, for the love of all that is holy, let me know in the comments. Save me from this Anthropic monopoly. Give me options. But please, please, only suggest agents that actually work. I don't need more broken toys to play with. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Cheers.